I want to start with a simple question. So how many of you have had a mentor in your younger career that made a difference? Raise your hand. All right. Now the next question. How many of you are working remotely or have people that work for you that work remotely? All right, so with that, there is a challenge because with mentoring, you're not getting that organically mentoring that you would get, like seeing people in the office all the time, having those conversations, and just learning from other people in the office. So that's a real challenge, and it's also the impact of that is you're not getting the skills, you're getting disconnections, you're getting retention challenges as an employer. So, it's really important that we figure out how to do that. But the good news is we have intentional mentorship, and that can fix this. So I have 4 incredibly wonderful ladies here with me. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into talking about that.
Yeah, I think mine's fixed now. Okay. So Ashley Murphy, Nordic Energy, founding board member at WEA.
I'm Misty Day, Spark Energy, and also a founding member of WEA.
Molly Gaby, I'm with CG Infinity and also a board member with WEA.
My name's Emily Pittman. I'm with Atlantic Energy, and I am just a member.
Not just a member. So we're going to talk about the elephant in the room here, remote work, and get into a little conversation about how that is affecting things. So I'm going to ask each of these ladies here, so what are your thoughts on companies requiring the return to the office? Ashley, you want to start us out here?
Sure. Well, first of all, of course, I think that's a horrible idea. So I've been remote my entire career here in the energy industry at several different companies. And I think I've had some really fantastic mentors working remote. And I think it's a commitment piece on the employer's part to spend the time with their remote employees and make that time to be mentors. So I'm going to ask Missy her thoughts here.
I am in the opposite camp. I feel like everyone should be in the office every day. I feel like our industry is not easy to pick up on. We have a lot of different rules, especially if you're in the operations world. Every state, every utility has their own rules, and all of that is really hard for someone, especially right out of college, that doesn't have that work ethic yet, to really kind of grasp and understand. I also feel like, to our point of mentoring, you learn a lot more about someone when you're sitting beside them every day and hearing their conversations, whether you want to or not. You learn more about them. You have that camaraderie more if you're in the office, going to lunch, going to happy hour, etc.
So I am more of a middle ground, I would agree. So I do think it's important, especially for our younger generation, to be in the office. I think they need to start there, see leaders, how they interact with others, learn from them, have leaders set an example. But I do think there's a place for remote work. Like in my personal situation, when COVID happened, my office closed. So, I didn't have an option. Everybody went remote. So now I'm totally remote, like Ashley. But I do enjoy it. I get kind of re-energized when I go to a client's office and I'm sitting in there and interacting with people every day. So that's my thoughts.
My story is kind of in the middle. I came from my last job where I was fully remote, and I am a social butterfly, and I thrive on being around people. So when I started with Atlantic Energy a year ago, it was a perfect mix when I got to be hybrid, and I was in the office 3 days a week and was optioned to work from home 2 days a week. However, since I was brand new to the industry, I did come in as much as possible, but I am a mom of 4 kids, young kids, and the flexibility allowed me to come back to the workplace where it wouldn't have been an option had hybrid been not offered. So I do believe, because I am a walking example, that it is different on a case-by-case basis, and I feel like you could lose valuable people that are out there in different phases of life if your company isn't willing to be flexible. I'm also sitting over there looking at my management, and we are going back to where I will be asked to come in now 4 days a week. And again, with young kids, that is a challenge, especially over summer. So.
Thank you. So clearly, it sounds like hybrid work, a workplace is the answer. It's not, working remotely is not going to change, especially after COVID. Everybody's gotten used to that. But this brings us to the real question here. So with remote work being here to stay, how are we developing the younger employees and empowering them to bring new ideas if they aren't in the office every day? Ashley, you want to take that one?
Okay, so I have a good example of this, but my children, they come home every day from school, and the easy answer when you ask them, you say, what did you learn today? And they say, nothing. I learned nothing. So their teachers started this notebook that's called My Nothing Notebook, and every single day they have to write what they learned. So I think that as employers, if we offer that to our newer employees and we say, hey, create me a business plan for this, create me a solutioning for this, and bring this to the table. Like allowing them that window to bring something to the table is going to make them a lot more apt to say, no, I don't have any ideas. So kind of think of it as like a nothing notebook. And, as older women, gentlemen in the industry, be open to those ideas because, they say you can't teach old dogs new tricks. I think you can, so.
As the old dog on the panel, I will say we do allow folks to work from home 1 day a week. Our staff comes into the office 1 day a week. 4 days a week. And what we have found is we try to convince those folks to do most everyone to be out of the office on the same day. I'm not a huge fan of that, but what we do have from that is that then they're all in the office together on the other days. And so they can work together, and the managers and directors can pull them all into a room together and have conversations and training sessions on those 4 days when they're in the office, because there's constantly things changing in our industry. There's constantly new rules and regulations that impact what we're doing every day. So having those folks in the office where we can have that conversation and feed off each other's thoughts on it and body language is very helpful. So I feel like, the hybrid thing, I understand it works for some folks, but again, managing that hybrid situation so that you have as many people in the office at the same time as possible is also a great option, a great way to kind of straddle both sides of the fence.
All right, so Misty, let's stay with you around this topic because you mentioned training. And companies used to have robust training, but really don't anymore. So as VP of Operations, what are you doing at Spark to engage and develop remote workers, and what does that training look like now?
Well, I don't have fully remote workers, so that's one thing I'm doing. But also, we just make sure that we train internally. So I had a lot of training, industry training, management training, all of that in previous jobs. And that's something that I get it. It's not cheap. There's not a lot of people out there that do it anymore. We do some online trainings and then take advantage of anything that any of the vendors might offer. But it's mostly on our managers and directors to kind of push forward and bring their teams in together and say, let's really go through this. And sometimes it takes us making a mistake to say, okay, we made this mistake. Let's figure out why we made the mistake and fix it so we don't make that mistake again. And that goes for operations, accounting, sales, everything is really kind of doing that look back to say what went wrong, how can we fix it, and how can we make sure it doesn't happen again.
All right, so now that we've established the challenge, let's talk about the solutions. And I'd like each of you to share a personal story about a mentor that made a difference in your career and what inspired you to pay it forward. So Ashley, you want to start us off with that one?
I sure can. So I don't think Larry Lakin is in here, but of course he isn't. See, what a mentor. Just kidding. But that was the first mentor that I ever had that allowed me to come to EMC as a very entry-level employee, which then led me to several other really great mentors like Jack Dweck and Carrie Templin. So, giving lower level employees or entry level or even college level, if they're coming into your company, an opportunity to come here and network and get the education, I think is really important. So I'll let Emily chime in here because this was her idea, but she had a challenge. So I'll let you share your challenge.
Well, last year at EMC in Houston, I had just started at Atlantic Energy in October. And I was very fresh into the industry, and I was invited to come to EMC Houston, and I walked in only knowing my immediate team. And I remember making my way into the Women's Energy Alliance happy hour that y'all had, which might have been the launch. And I was just energetic to go meet people. And so coming here today, I feel much more comfortable because y'all aren't all scary. Y'all are friendly. But it does take two ways of me being able to put myself out there to go up and meet new people, and then y'all being welcoming enough. So I would challenge you to allow some of the lower level employees to come to the next one in Houston, because it really did make a difference for me. It energized me in wanting to be better and learn. And when I saw the email come out about Women's Energy Alliance, I was like, yes, I want to be involved. I want to go continue to meet people, because it does help you feel a sense of community. Especially, like, a lot of you have known each other for many years, and that really could be hard to break into when you feel like the new person with maybe, you know, not that y'all are cliquey or whatever, but y'all have history, and it's easy to feel comfortable in these things when you haven't seen each other because y'all are all over the country. I would just really challenge you. Pay the extra ticket or write it off and let some younger people come in. I think that it'll be really good for not only them, but for you to be able to get to know your employees on a different level.
Oh, I was just going to say, you asked about a personal experience with a mentor. I remember I was very new to managing people. I think I was 28 years old. I didn't manage people for a few years, but just maybe 2 or something. The company I was working with moved me from Tallahassee, Florida to Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's how I ended up there. But just in my early days there, a VP kind of took me under his wing, and he told me to not hold like my people to the same standards I hold myself, which made a big difference. That he was saying, you know, there's probably a reason you're where you are, they're where they are. I mean, there could be a reason for that. But just to reset my expectations, and I wouldn't be so frustrated. And that, you know, there are people that do a great job, but they want to show up and they want to do their job and they want to go home at the end of the day and not think about it. And that there is a place for those people. Like, you know, it's not bad that you have people who don't want to grow or don't want to develop. And it just brought me back. I mean, it just lowered that frustration level a lot for me. And I've always thought of that over the years.
So I met my mentor at Enron right out of college, and I've worked with her at several different places. At Direct Energy, she actually got me started in this space at Direct Energy, and then she was also at Spark Energy at a different time. And she always pushed me to do more and encouraged me to raise my hand. She could tell when I was getting bored, and she'd say, "Here, I'm going to give you this to go figure out." And I feel like I have learned a lot doing that. When we started buying companies at Spark, she said, "Here, I want you to go do that." And at the time, I thought, well, that's not really my place. That's more of something that the C-level should be doing. And she was like, "Nope, you're going." And kind of just pushed me out there, and, you know, with proper training and a list of questions to ask, but still kind of pushed me out there and forced me to do it. And that's my favorite part of my job today, is the M&A portion that I get to do. But it's more because someone had the faith in me to just say, "No, you can do it. And here it is, go do it." And she encouraged me to have the same faith in my staff, and always to make sure that when you need to be out of the office, you need to make sure you have people that you trust to do the job for you, so that you're constantly training the next generation, so that you can come to a conference for 3 days and not have to work the whole time.
Right, so what I'm hearing is mentorship is transformative, but it takes a lot of real commitment. And so let's talk about the reality of that. So what should someone honestly consider before committing to be a mentor, and how do you make it sustainable so it doesn't become just another overwhelming obligation on top of your job, on top of your family, on top of everything else?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about it in a little bit different perspective, but I think every single person in here can be a mentor. So, don't shy upon offering somebody, one good piece of advice that's still a mentor that can have a lasting impact. But I'm going to pass it to the other ladies to kind of talk more literally about what it takes.
So I think making the time commitment is important, and Molly and I were talking about that earlier today. I just have a standing meeting on the calendar with my mentee, and she's at a different company, and there are times where we text each other and say, hey, today's busy and we can't do it, but here's some things that from the week that we want to talk through when we can get a chance. And so it's just having that time, and when you have that time with them, just listen. It's not always going to be a training scenario. It's not always going to be giving advice. Sometimes it's just listening and being able to just take in what's being said, and then if asked, give some advice.
Molly, you want to?
I think it is a commitment, and you have to be passionate about wanting to be a mentor, and just making that time for those people. I mean, it's, like Misty said, there may be times that both of you are busy, you cancel, but just knowing you've made this commitment, so to be there when your mentee needs you to be.
So Molly, I was going to stay with you for a minute. So with the WEA Mentor Program, we're pairing the mentors and the mentees across the industries. What are the benefits of a mentorship relationship with those at different companies, and why is having a mentor who's not your boss critical?
Let me start by saying that some of the most impactful mentors I have had over my career were my bosses. But there is always a time that you're going to need a different perspective, that you're going to need a safe place, you're going to need to be vulnerable, and it may be a challenge with your boss, and you need some support in that area. So I think it's important, you may be in a situation where you're questioning if you want to change jobs. I mean, that's not something typically you'd go talk to your boss about. So you always need, I think, this, whether your boss is also your mentor, but you need a different safe space to be able to talk about things you could not talk with your boss about.
So I love that. The external prescriptive, it creates like that safetiness and that openness, and you can have those conversations that you might not be able to. So now one thing we want to look at or talk about is reverse mentoring. So I'm not sure if any people really know what that is. It's where you have your mentor who is learning from the mentee. So a lot of times, especially with the younger generation, they may be more tech savvy than you, and you may have to learn from them. So let's just do a round robin here. What has someone junior to you taught you that changed your perspective?
Okay. Well, ironically, I am the junior here, so actually my mentee is older than me. But the one thing that I would say is that don't wait for a seat at the table, pull out your own chair and sit down. I think is a great piece of advice. And I'm also petrified of public speaking. So, take the opportunity, because it's just preparing you for the next big thing. So that would be my two things.
So I would say probably social media stuff, because I don't really care that much about it, and I know that I need to sometimes, and so I definitely ask a lot of questions about that. I would also say I'm one that calls folks in on the techie side. I can do whatever you want me to do in Excel, but that's about the extent of it. So I definitely do bring in the younger folks in my office to help me navigate through some of our systems.
Mine's a little different. I've had a mentee for, maybe 12 years now, but she's kind of, taught me how you should develop relationships outside of your bubble. She would get to know people that she would never interact with otherwise, or that I had, and I would just be so busy. I get on a call or a meeting, you have your pleasantries and you move right into it. She really, she would tell me something about somebody, so-and-so's daughter's getting married. I'm like, how did you know that? Like, I didn't even know you knew this person. But she was just very intentional, in getting to know people, and that's something I learned from her.
So Ashley, you brought up that you and Emily are mentor-mentee, but you are also a mentee through WEA. So let's talk about the relationship you have a little bit. But I want to start with Emily. Emily, your experience, but you're new to retail energy and working remotely. Why seek out a mentor through our WEA program?
Yes, and I am older than some, and I have been described by Rob Cantrell, who is our CEO, that I unapologetically ask too many dumb questions. But I think that it is, being with Ashley and also Rob, he's a mentor of mine as well, that is my way to learn. I just feel like no question is a dumb question, and sometimes I feel like just because it always has been in this industry doesn't mean that it has to continue that way. And I feel like fresh perspectives can really get you to look at new opportunities. And so, sometimes I have these wild ideas and I look at things in a different light, and I don't understand all the rules and regulations that come with it that make this job hard. But why can't we change some of those things? And so sometimes it's easier, and like Ashley and I have talked about, not complaining, but I'm like, why? Why does it have to be this way? And sometimes lifting up that curtain helps you see a perspective that's different, but a lot of times people just don't have the time to explain that to the younger generation or people that are fresh in. So, I just really challenge anybody here that has been in the industry for a long time. Somebody taught you, so take the time to teach the new generation. I don't think that you understand how valuable it can be to somebody that is brand new and maybe not as outgoing as me and can ask dumb questions and feel fine. Some people really are shaking in their boots to even just come and have a conversation with you. So remember, you were not as important as you are now at one point, and consider being, somebody that they'll talk about in 25 years.
And I would add to that, look around the room, guys. We're not a lot of spring chickens in here. So we've got to start training somebody else.
So Ashley, we mentioned that you're a mentor and a mentee. So what does that taught you about the knowledge flow? And I'm going to combine the questions for time's sake. And the other part of that question is, how do you learn to listen and wait for the questions when someone like Emily, your mentee, instead of you wanting to all of a sudden keep asking questions or help solve the problem? How do you listen?
Okay, so the first thing here is we do have a mentee-led mentorship program, but I want to, preface that with saying that even though it's mentee-led, it's not mentor absent, right? So, I request of Emily to come with questions, comments, concerns, but if she comes up empty-handed, I want to be prepared to discuss something, that maybe happened this week. I could be on Energy Choice Matters. I could have had a discussion with, Stephen Fernandez, and I found something very intriguing. So I'm going to bring that to Emily and discuss it if she doesn't have anything that week, right? I want to make that time super valuable to her. I want to make it feel like it's a safe space. And then in the interim of that, me being a mentee, I'm learning from my mentor, and that adds value into what I'm able to deliver to her. So kind of a chain mentorship type of moment. It's a moment.
And I also wanted to add, I do not work for EMC, but I do feel like I have learned a lot from just coming and sitting in these sessions, because it's not like, every person at my office has a full open door policy for me to come in and ask all of them the questions. But when I'm sitting here learning about risk and, all the different things of the different facets of the company, that is an awesome way to learn. So bring the young people in.
All right, so really quick, because we have about a minute left, because Jack...
Yeah, we have no time left, but go on.
Women.
Yeah. What is one thing someone can do this week to become a mentor or find one?
Well, I was going to say,
One thing
it
quick.
contradicts what I was saying, but ask your boss to suggest a mentor for you, because he or she probably knows you well enough to know what would be a good fit.
Stephen Cook, all the way there in the back. What's one thing you can do real quick to become a mentee or a mentor this week?
Just be available.
Be available. Perfect.
Also, if you can join Women's Energy Alliance, because we have a mentorship program and we take folks from all levels.
And we also have allies, so all the men in here,
There
you
we
can
go.
also be a mentor. Yes.
Yes, we do have several men that are mentors in our group.
Or a
Thank you.
mentee, yeah.
All right, so we're out of time. We are between these people and their cocktails.
Yes.
So if we're taking any questions or just wrapping up?
We have plenty of time for questions from now until about 11 o'clock. I think Ashley is going to be available till the time.
Yeah, whenever. Yeah, all year
But,
available.
yeah, if you have any questions, find us. We have a booth over at the exhibit hall. One of our members is going to be over there. We'd love to get you involved in our mentorship program and in the Women's Energy Alliance. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your time.